Good morning, Wall Street winners. Today is Monday, April 29th, and we are 7:49 pre-market, looking at what's going on. You can see that in the futures, if we scroll across to the futures section under markets in the Bloomberg app, that everything is green on the screen as we go into the morning session. So we definitely have a positive vibe starting the week, starting the day. With the Dow up slightly at 0.15%, the S&P 0.22%, and the NASDAQ at 0.32%. So we've come off of a great earnings week in tech last week for the most part. I mean, Facebook disappointed, although really just with future expectations and spending on AI and cost increases, whereas Microsoft and Google did incredibly well with their earnings and their their revenue and their earnings, and as well positioned their investments, which I think came out to $45 billion each in AI over the next few years in a better way than Facebook did, and kept their costs in line with what analysts were expecting. So we're looking at a positive start to the week. If we flip over to the Yahoo Finance app, what we also want to keep in mind is this is still a fairly big earnings week across the board. With tech earnings, we have On Semiconductor announcing pre-market this morning. I talked about that on Friday, thinking that could take a bit of a pop, but am a little worried about the car market, the retail car sales market, because it will have an impact on them. But based on the fact that Texas Instruments did well in their release and they make chips for a variety of areas, so too does On Semi. So we'll see what comes out there. That'll be an interesting lead-in. We have Amazon reporting on Tuesday. We have Apple reporting on Thursday. So these are all going to be pretty interesting and big numbers. The question around Amazon is whether its numbers for its AWS cloud business are going to be in line with the great results from the Google and Microsoft cloud businesses. And typically Amazon's a leader in that area. So we should see some pretty positive results coming out. And Amazon has started to climb back to kind of its recent highs, and hopefully it'll start to continue, or it'll continue going past those and achieve new highs and get back to some of the, I won't say price ranges because they had a stock split a few years ago, but it'll get back in line with where it was when it hit peaks during the COVID timeframe, when shipping and retail was huge because people were at home. So if we look at our retail stocks, so pre-market, Lulu's down $5.50. Not sure what's leading to that. I don't think there's any news around that. We've got the other ones fairly steady. Home Depot is up 88 cents. Nike's up 41 cents, although it was down a little bit on Friday. Well, really break even, but it started up higher and ended up a little lower. We've got Humana, which was down this morning. It's now turned positive, so who knows there. The other health stocks, HCA and Cardinal Health, both seem to be in the positive, so that could be a reflection that the sector's going to move green today. You still have JB Hunt down in the 162s. I have to say at this point, I think JB Hunt is kind of bottomed out. If we look at JB Hunt from a 6-month perspective, you can see that it's down near its 6-month low at 162. If we look at a year out, it's as well down at a low from where it's been. I think that if we see some pickup in retail sales numbers and the economy as a whole, and the economy seems to be doing pretty well, particularly in the US. I mean, Canada's a different story. The government in place right now at the federal level is really killing business. But if we look at what is going on in the US, which is really where these stocks tend to operate the majority of their business, this could be an interesting buying opportunity if you're looking to buy something and hold it for, say, a 6-month kind of time period. Anyway, we'll come back to that. When we look at oil, if we look at crude to start off, crude is up a penny, but it was way down, so it's really climbed back. So it's almost up $1 from where it was we entered the morning session in the early hours with international trading going on. That could have an impact, a positive impact to some of our oil stocks. The oil stocks, for the most part, have released earnings, and earnings have been positive, but less than last year's year-over-year earnings for the quarters. So we may see some continued upside, particularly if crude moves forward and moves to higher levels. So if we can get crude, if crude ends up around $86 to $90, I think we could see 10 to 15% pop still left in the oil sector. But without that, it's all going to be based on revenue and earnings, and those have come in a little bit lower than last year's numbers, but better than expectations this year. So as long as they're managing cash flow and the profits are there and they're buying back shares, which is common, which does drive up the earnings per share because there are less shares out there in the pool, that'll all bode well for oil stocks. Tech is really the darling of the week this week again, although there are companies obviously reporting from a number of different sectors. But if we look at some of the more popular ones, CRM still down in the 274 range. I really do feel that this is an attractive purchase. If we look at this over 6 months, this is now kind of peaked here at a recent bottom. We won't call it a bottom, but it's kind of pulled back and corrected, and it's just hovering at this level, waiting for some results and some numbers to come out, which could cause a nice little pop up into the 300s. Now that said, if they miss the earnings, it could also dive. But I mean, this is a company that is just continually selling into the sales departments of organizations, and once it gets in, it is extremely hard to get rid of it. So I think that they announce at the end of May, so we still have a month there, but there's a lot of potential for CRM. Then we get into Palo Alto. Palo Alto's up $4 pre-market. I love Palo Alto. This is a $315 stock. I think it'll definitely make a move in the next week, a couple weeks or so. It's going to announce earnings coming up May 21st. So certainly in line with that. I think we'll continue to see that move forward. Net comes out this week as well. It comes out Thursday with Amazon, and this is a cloud service provider, cybersecurity. I think there's a lot of potential for this. This had great earnings in Q1. It really surprised analysts and beat estimates. I think we're going to see the same thing in Q2 because cybersecurity is not going away. I would definitely be looking to pick some of that up at 88 and wait for earnings this week. I think you'll see a nice little increase there. Now, that said, also remember to take your profits because as we've seen in multiple situations, net went up fairly significantly on Q1 earnings, but it has now come back and retraced down to lower levels. And the same thing's happening today, as you'll see with Google. So you've got Google here, which was up significantly on Friday due to earnings, and it's pulling back $3 today, $2.50 today pre-market. So these things do pop on news and excitement and people buying in and getting interested, but then they do come back. So wait and time things so that you buy these when they're effectively on sale or when the rest of the market is less interested. So that's really your key to success. NVIDIA had a big move up, $51 on Friday. I think it's going to continue to move forward as it heads into earnings. Its earnings, again, are a ways out. I think it's May 31st that it reports. It says May 22nd here, but end of May. So we've got some time on that one. And then BABA. BABA's making a bit of a comeback. We have earnings coming up in a couple of weeks between the 16th and 20th of May, and we'll see what's going on with the Chinese economy there. Meta, one stock I still love. I think it's a very attractive deal right now, especially down $5 pre-market going into the day. This is a stock that's going to come back. It didn't communicate its earnings and messaging properly is the best way I could put it. If it had have been on point like Microsoft and Google, this thing would have been a rocket ship like they were, but there was just maybe a hiccup there, we'll call it, in how they communicated. And then Amazon going into earnings, Amazon's looking strong. If you do believe that their cloud services is going to grow like Microsoft and Google's, and they're going to make that announcement, I think that's going to carry this stock up into the 195s as we get to Friday of this week. Financials are moving up. SoFi reports this week. I've loved SoFi for a long time. It looks like it's up 2% pre-market, up into the $8 range. I do believe that this stock is going to be a $9 or $10 stock before the end of the year. Not much doubt about that in my mind. And so we'll see what they come out with as they announce this week as well. So that's where we are. Good luck with your trades today. If you're liking these videos, please leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel.